What's going on, guys? Bexio back, and today we got a brand new video with Bitcoin and the Super Bowl, because we know today's Super Bowl, and we got Bitcoin as the star of the Super Bowl. A lot of crypto ads and Bitcoin ads going to be going on, and we know the big guys like Crypto.com and FTX are going to do something crazy, and we already know FTX is going to be giving away Bitcoin based on the time that their ad plays. So it'll be interesting to see these Bitcoin ads, crypto ads, seeing how they're done and seeing if they're cringy a little bit. But before we get into that, if you are not subscribed, make sure you smash that sub button because we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. And to compare Bitcoin in the Super Bowl, in how much it would cost in Bitcoin to run a Super Bowl ad over the years, we got this whole tweet right here from Preston. He says, he lists out the years and the amount of money, or the amount of Bitcoin it would cost to run a Super Bowl ad, and it has drastically gone down. You see 2012, it's 700,000 Bitcoin for an ad, down to 152, down to 6.2K, 19K, so actually gone up, and then going to 11K, 5K, 650, 1394, 565, 142, and 153. So you can see from 700,000 Bitcoin, that's how much it would have cost to run a Super Bowl ad in 2012. Just 10 years later, it is a fraction of the cost at 153. And this is the power of Bitcoin, or what Bitcoin can do is over time make your money or your purchasing power, preserve it. Because right now, if you hold your purchasing power in dollars, you're losing to inflation. Every single year that you have dollars in the bank, it loses the ability to buy things. With Bitcoin, it's the exact opposite. We see right here. It gains the ability to buy things and drastically makes it a lot cheaper. So these problems we have with like assets getting too high in price, if they're priced in Bitcoin, they're not very high at all. They're actually down quite a bit. But that's the point of Bitcoin, to make sure that you get your overtime purchasing power protect. You got Ted Cruz, a senator, talking about Bitcoin and why people hate Bitcoin, talking about authoritarians hating Bitcoin because they can't control it, which is true. People, it's the same thing that happened with the internet in the early internet days. The people wanted to control the narrative, control the news, and how everything was talked about. They hated the internet because it allowed anyone to talk about it, and became news and information became something very easily available. And now we have the same thing with Bitcoin. You can't control Bitcoin in terms that you can't control if someone sends it somewhere. You can't stop that. You can't reverse it. You can't control more Bitcoin being made, how much Bitcoin gets made. You just can't control it. It's the greatest thing. But here, Ted Cruz talks about that.
These authoritarians hate Bitcoin and they hate crypto, and it's for the same reason. Why do they hate Joe Rogan? Because they can't control him. He's not subject to their authoritarian power. Why do they hate Bitcoin? Because they can't control it. It is a system of currency outside of the monopoly control of the U.S. government. And I got to say, as I've addressed, I spoke at a big crypto conference in Austin several months ago, and I said, listen, you need to understand this administration, I believe, is going to go after you and is going to try to destroy you. And by the way, that's a pattern of authoritarians. China, communist China, outlawed Bitcoin for the exact same reason. Why does Elizabeth Warren hate Bitcoin? For the same reason that she in China hates Bitcoin, because neither one of them can control it. And the theme through all of this is the power of freedom to be not subject to the arbitrary whims of those in government power.
So obviously that's true. Authoritarians hate anything that they can't control. Pretty much it's in the name. But Bitcoin does a real good job of exposing people who are hiding behind saying that they stand up for, this financial stuff and they hate banks and all this stuff. But if you say that you're so against banks and taking advantage of people, and the savings rates like 0.01% on a savings account, and the bank uses your money to make more money while giving you pennies, but you don't support Bitcoin, then you got exposed. You're not really hating the banks. You're doing it for a public kind of narrative to look good for your self-image, while not promoting something that solves that problem where nobody can control your Bitcoin. You can have it, and even if you wanted to get a yield on your Bitcoin, you can do that. You can get 8%, 9% on your Bitcoin if you wanted to put it on a platform, and that's amazing. So if people are against Bitcoin and against these lendings that happen, and it's secure lending because you can liquidate on the way down and not lose any money should the asset have a quick decrease in price. So it just exposes people, makes everyone show if they're doing it for publicity stunt or if they actually support what they're talking about. But away from all of that news, I mean, Super Bowl star Bitcoin, Ted Cruz talking about Bitcoin, government officials doing all that. I mean, if you aren't looking at these adoption fundamentals of Bitcoin, then you're going to miss out. And the fundamentals are even looking fantastic. We can see the hash rate just hit an all-time high and an explosive growth. This is the raw values, so, but it's still a massively strong growth, 248 million terahashes per second. Massive jump, the biggest jump we've seen in a long time, and a new all-time high for the Bitcoin hash rate. Obviously, you go to the 7-day, it's not reflected yet because 7-day average, obviously. So if the raw values hold up here a little bit, we'll see the 7-day have another spike up. Probably get over 200 on the 7-day average, which would be massive, but all-time high on the Bitcoin hash rate. Fundamentals looking great. Government officials liking Bitcoin, supporting it. We're seeing that all across the U.S. and the states, with tons of governors and senators and people running in states saying they want to make Bitcoin or their state a Bitcoin happy state and a Bitcoin supportive state, and they want to be the center for Bitcoin. So we'll see how it all works out. We'll see how things play out, but everything still looks great. Even if you go to the funding rates for Bitcoin, you can see we have 3 negatives here on USDT or dollar margin, and then we have 2 negatives here on token margin. That means Bitcoin backed Bitcoin's used as your collateral here. This is dollars or Tether or stable coin is used as your collateral here. So we can see a lot of shorting still going on in a lot of exchanges. So it's mixed right now, which is still a fine sign. It's fine. We've got the flush. We got the leverage out. The people were so greedy with leverage that was making it painful for months. They're out. Obviously, we see the funding rate. They tell that story. So hopefully we got the reset in this market, and hopefully we start to see these are at good levels right now, but it's negative means more bearish, more shorting. So we could see maybe some short squeezes going on here, and see if it actually happens that way. And we got our bottom signal from Peter Schiff. Every time he tweets something like this, it's the bottom and for Bitcoin. So obviously you see his tweet talking a long-term chart of Bitcoin. Pull up the long-term chart of gold, please. But imagine how bad this chart will look once Bitcoin breaks below 30K. So that's $12,000 away. So that's a pretty big drop to try and happen, but not impossible. A drop to 10K would seem like a lock, but there's no reason to believe that this would hold up as permanent floor. If the double top completes, the real floor is 0. And he said this before about in this area where Bitcoin was 29K, and he tweeted out, said Bitcoin has a massive head and shoulders formed, and the target is 0. And we saw Bitcoin ran to a new all-time high. We saw recently, just before this move up back to 42, and Bitcoin's around 33K, he said it again, another head and shoulder. The TA works out. It's going to 0, and it went up to $42,000. It went up 10 grand. So Peter Schiff tweets on Bitcoin are pretty much the bottom. Maybe 42K is the bottom before we launch off to a new all-time high. Peter Schiff, it's crazy how much he hates Bitcoin, supports gold, yet he doesn't have any gold in his portfolio. He'll tell you to buy gold, but he doesn't have any in his portfolio. So do as I say, not as I do. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Actions speak a lot louder than words. I mean, Bitcoiners don't tell you to buy Bitcoin while not having any Bitcoin. That wouldn't make any sense. So, Peter Schiff loving gold but not having any, his words don't really mean anything. And just to wrap this up on the Super Bowl Sunday Bitcoin, something to be wary of that we could see. Obviously, it's a hyped up event. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of people watching, a lot of people seeing crypto stuff. So, leading up to the Super Bowl, wouldn't surprise me to see a very big increase in Bitcoin's price. Maybe push it up to 43K, getting above these levels, 44K. I mean, if we go up to 45, that'd be kind of insane, but it could happen. And then during the Super Bowl, during the hyped up event, seeing a sell off. So seeing it run up very quickly and then come back down very quickly, because that's just people who are trading or hype trading something. This is a possibility to happen. So it wouldn't be shocked to see Bitcoin run up really fast, maybe kind of hover for a little bit, and once the crypto ads, Bitcoin ads start running, the price starting to fall again. Just what happens during events and something people like to trade it and do all that and try and take advantage of new investors by running the price up. And people who are new see the run up in price, say they got to get in. They end up getting in, but they end up buying what people are selling nearing the top of that hype. But long term, doesn't really matter. Obviously, none of this matters, but it's still just something to keep in mind for short term Super Bowl Bitcoin star. That's going to do it for this video. As always, remember to smash the like button and subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I'll see you guys in my next video.